Welcome to southeast of Skane. I'm the vice president of the Museum Association at Svaneholm Castle, and my name is Gunni Blixen.
And I am Mia Gröndal, the president of the Cultural Association Kristina's Vänner at Svaneholm Castle. Lovely to be here.
Yes.
And I must say, you have a wonderful dress. Tell me, Gunni, what is it?
Well, this is the dress from this district. The peasantry people would wear these things, this outfit, when at festivity occasions. And it's like a blouse and a long dress. And if you have very layers,
Ooh, la la.
I have an what do you call that?
It's a petticoat?
It's a petticoat
Wow.
and an apron. And the jewelry I have is very important for the woman to show her wealth. And it has symbolic, how do you say, a symbolic value as well. And the more jewelry you had, the richer you were. The more textile you had, the richer you were. So this outfit represents this area. And you can tell if I'm a married woman or I'm an unmarried woman by wearing this headdress.
Lovely.
Okay.
And I'm only wearing my guide dress from Svaneholm. I can't compete with you.
No.
This is just a costume for fun. Anyhow.
You look very well in it.
Well, thank you. Aren't you going to comment on my wig?
Very nice.
Thank you, my dear. Listen, we are partners.
Yes, that's correct.
And we are wonderful partners, I think. And wonderful partners to all of you who will visit us. And we have a ticket that allows you to visit both Svaneholm and Svaneholm on the same ticket. And we are also inviting other castles to be partners with us.
Correct. And this is the castle tour that we have worked out. How many castles are there?
I believe we are 7 castles now in the castle tour.
Yeah. And a monastery as well?
Well, the monastery is included.
Okay, fine. And this we intend, we hope it's going to be fun and interesting for people to come and do the castle tour of this area.
Well, you can start either here at Svaneholm or you can start at Svaneholm. And then you take the whole tour visiting all the other 5 castles and monasteries.
Welcome to Svaneholm Castle. Behind me you see a 4-wing Renaissance castle built in the beginning of 1500. At the time, this part of Sweden belonged to Denmark. There was a civil war going on in Denmark between the king and the nobility. The Hanseatic League was in decline, which meant that the ports in the Baltic Sea, along the Baltic coastline, were open for colonization. Pirates were harassing the coastline, and peasants were objecting against the higher tax burden. So the man who built this castle, he pulled down the old castle next to the church in Skurup and rebuilt this 4-wing Renaissance castle with a moat around it. If you look at this part of the building with the white frieze and the step gables, this is the oldest part. You can see the loopholes for far and close defense. This part was reconstructed in the late 1600, beginning of 1700. The man, Axel Gyllenstierna, had been out in Europe and was very impressed by the Baroque style. So he decided to extend the wing with 2 more blind floors. Another famous man residing at this castle was Rutger MacLean. He inherited the castle in the late 1700 and with 7,000 acres. And he is now over here in the park, sitting like a statue with his dog, looking at his castle.
Rutger MacLean is with no doubt the most famous owner of Svaneholm. He made himself into the history books with his large agricultural reforms, which started here at Svaneholm in 1785. Rutger, he inherited Svaneholm in 1782 at the age of 40, and he immediately started his reforms with the help of a young surveyor called Gideon Wadman, who at the age of 22 came to MacLean's help. And it was a parcel reform. Every house, every farmhouse which were collected into villages were moved out from the village, placed on its own, and collected one piece of land around each farm. This became a success. 10 years after, more than twice as much people lived here and in relative welfare. Rutger MacLean, he was never married, but there are some rumors about mistresses and maybe some childs in the surroundings here, but he had no family. But that didn't prevent him from having a rich social life. This table here, we want to let you to imagine that he's sitting here to have dinner with his very good friend, Admiral Carl Augustin Ehrensvärd. Maybe just left the table to discuss something about his reforms regarding society and agriculture.
Right now we are in one of the rooms on the second floor of the castle, and behind me here on the big portrait of the last Count Carl Augustin Ehrensvärd. He and his wife, Eva is not here present, but this is her dress after she got married and went to Paris. She came back with a new fashion, with a tournure. They married early and had one son, but the son died unfortunately by a lung disease. So when they moved in here, this was Eva's birthplace. She was born in the castle, on the castle, and she loved this home very much. So when she grew older and married her husband, they bought the castle from her siblings and the mother. When they came in possession of the castle, the mother had turned 99 years old, and that meant that Eva was 70 and Carl Augustin was 80 years old. But they moved into the castle and started a bigger renovating the castle. A year later, he died. And of course, the whole place went into bankruptcy. So Eva, she had to sell everything, part of the estate, and she moved into a flat on the same floor as this, and then she made it into a museum with people helping her to do the whole place into a museum, showing how the upper class people lived and how the peasantry lived. So this is a typical upper class living room, small living room from that time. Okay, let's go back in time. In this room you'll see a furnished room from the late 1800s, and this is how Eva had her living room. On the walls you see paintings from family members, and this is the desk she was writing her letters. And here, next to me, you'll find her wedding dress. When she was wed to her husband, she was dressed in this beautiful wedding dress. But before the wedding, the day before, they would have a big ball. And on the picture behind me, you can see her in her ball dress. The morning of the wedding, they started pulling the corset like 7:30 in the morning, and they kept pulling the corset so she could fit into the wedding dress. So by the time she was ready for the wedding, they had pulled the corset enough. Her waistline is 47 centimeters. And this is the trail to the dress, and the fashion, as I said before, mentioned, is the tournure, with corset and a tournure on the bottom. Here we see a picture when they were in Paris. Eva and her husband, newlywed, and Eva is wearing a hat with a small little kitten in it. When this was made into museum, Eva lived 10 more years, or even more, and she helped building up the museum. So that's why we have this beautiful place to show you how people lived during the 1800 and how the peasantry lived through 1800.
These costumes here are copies of the suit that was designed by the Swedish King Gustav III in 1778. Influenced by the mercantilism, he wanted to limit the import of textile, and he designed this suit to be worn at the royal court.
Slimminge village community cherishes traditions such as spetterkaka, lace and much more. They have produced a number of brochures about the area and displayed its history with many pictures.
Sticka upp vagnen. Och sen från vagnen stack man upp i luften. Och sen på luften ska man sticka upp. Ja. Och så ska man ha taklåt i ögonen. Du, smakbiten får vi taka sen också. Nej.
Deerbeck's village community also showed the history of the area in various exhibits. During the year, they instigated various interesting lectures that have been well attended. Gärdslöv's village community told of their activities and especially about the charcoal pile. A charcoal pile is a way to convert wood into charcoal. The village community in Gärdslöv collects firewood from the forest, which is then laid up tightly. At the end, you cover the charcoal with spruce twigs and then cover it with soil. Through high temperature, the wood is converted to charcoal. That process takes 4 days. After that, the charcoal pile is extinguished and allowed to cool for about 3 weeks. South Årby Local Community Association has published a number of village magazines that you could browse and some books. South Årby Local Community Association also manages a unique, well-preserved wooden mill from 1682. Greater Beddinge village community also participated with stick horses for the children's activities. Together with the village communities, the castle's own associations also presented their activities. During the day, visitors could travel with a small train from the castle park, passing the art gallery and the smokehouse, which opened as a cafe in June 2020, and further into the popular 2.4 kilometre long hiking trail around Svaneholm Lake. The hiking trail is the old hunting trail. Drawing, painting and riding stick horses were popular activities during the festival. The artist, Tong Wang, was in charge of the painting. A family from Holland with their children stayed for a long time to draw and paint.
Johannes, jag håller kurs här nu. Ja, du har kurs. Jag har kurs för som teckning 2 gånger i veckan.